Shirley Roth. I went on to the official Scientology website and it said that there's a mission about a mile away from my house. But when I asked for the closest org to me, it said the org in Miami, an hour away, is closest. What is the difference between an org and a mission? Also, I called the number listed on their website for the mission near me and it was disconnected. So a few days later, I drove to the mission. It is an old ruin of a small office building. It's completely empty with a huge for lease sign out front. What is going on? Why list this mission on their website at all if it doesn't actually exist? Okay, Kimberly, so I did a whole video, which I'm going to link to below, called Scientology's Organizational Madness, which breaks down the entire Scientology organizational structure and how it is organized and how it's run. So please do check that out. But for your question, I will tell you right now that Scientology Mission is a local group that is run by an individual called a mission holder who purchases a package of materials from the Church of Scientology along with a license to be able to deliver Dianetics and Scientology services up to a certain level and sell Dianetics and Scientology materials. So basically it's like a mission similar to the old Christian missions, I guess, or Catholic missions or something. Like I think of the missions along the coast of California, like those kind of missions. I think is where it derives its name from within the Scientology context. It's a field group that is not an official, I guess I want to say certified, sub-organization of the Church of Scientology International. It's a bit of a looser relationship. They used to be called franchises. So that might give you a clue as to what it's all about. An individual is sold the right to deliver Scientology services, only so many of them, only certain ones. Certain courses can be offered there, and auditing services up to the level of clear can be offered at a mission. Nothing else. You can't do auditor training at a mission or advanced training, and you're certainly never going to do anything like the upper OT levels or anything confidential. Missions are very low level. They're meant to be spearheads into society for Scientology, with lots of books being sold is the first thing that a mission is supposed to be doing, and delivering introductory level services and lower level services that get people kind of interested and hotted up on Scientology. And then the mission is supposed to direct the person to go to an org, whatever the closest org is to their geographical area. So in your case, it would have been Miami. In my case, it would be Denver org, because I live here in Denver. Every org is supposed to have about 10 missions around it, but very, very few of them have even 1 or 2 missions. Missions spring up and disappear just like will-o-wisps. There's a night and, they're up one day, they're gone the next. That's why the databases within Scientology International's list of all the missions changes. It fluctuates all the time, and they're not really so great at keeping up on it. There's a long history to missions in Scientology, going back to when they first started back in the 60s, and maybe even in the 50s. And Hubbard basically took actions in the early 1980s that destroyed the mission network, which had been built up through the 1970s to an impressive level. I mean, there were missions all over the place, and some of these missions had actually grown to be larger than the orgs. Hubbard didn't like that, and neither did the Sea Org, and they were down on that, so they kind of basically annihilated the mission network. And ever since the early 1980s, the mission network has never really built back up to the level that it used to be at, and hasn't even come close. Scientology puts all of its stock in its orgs, and now, more recently, I'd say over the last 20 years or so, even the orgs are being neglected, and it's really only the Sea Org delivery installations, the Sea Org delivery orgs, that get most of the attention from Scientology management and from David Miscavige. Orgs are official Scientology churches. Missions are not. So an org has religious status. I think missions do too, but orgs are official churches, and they are able to deliver all Scientology courses up to what's called a Class 5 auditor training level, which is why orgs are called Class 5 orgs. That's their official title. We just call them orgs. for short for organizations, but officially in Scientology, they're called Class 5 organizations. And they also audit up to the level of clear. Orgs don't deliver confidential services either, not the upper level services. There are a couple services orgs can deliver that are considered confidential, like when a person gets to the level of clear and says, hey, I'm clear, there's an action they do called the Clear Certainty Rundown, which verifies that they're clear. Orgs are authorized to deliver the Clear Certainty Rundown. But after that's done and the guy has been validated as a clear, he's supposed to be sent by the org up to the Sea Org, service orgs, to do his advanced level services. A mission could take somebody up to clear, but they're not going to deliver a Clear Certainty Rundown at a mission. That requires an org staff, minimally. Most of the time, because most orgs don't deliver the Clear Certainty Rundown either, because they don't have the personnel trained for it, they send people on up to the Sea orgs for that. The missions do too. Not every mission is firmly attached to its local org. Some of them are more attached to the Sea orgs. It's all kind of the bureaucracy and politics of Scientology, so I don't need to get into all the details of all of that, the minutia of it. I'm trying to give the more broad strokes here. A mission will close if the mission holder who bought the package of materials and the rights to deliver these services decides that he can't afford to do this anymore, he's not making money doing it, he gets interested in other things, he says, Scientology is not really for me anymore. That's kind of rare, but it happens. But missions close as a result of insolvency or unviability all the time, because it's really up to the mission holder and who he hires and whether they're going to make some money to pay their staff. I mean, it's kind of a Scientology startup, and the only guidelines they really have as to how to succeed is instructions and guidelines on how to sell books, how to put on local events, and how to get people in, and I think, and then of course how to deliver the services. So with Scientology's incredibly toxic PR at this point, missions are, they're supposed to be, like I said, the entry line into getting people into Scientology. But, you can imagine these little part-time activities. I mean, missions are very rarely a full-time operation. They can't really afford to be. Most of them don't make that much money. That's why they fold so quickly. But if they do start getting going, they can get bigger. But most of them, like I said, just kind of fall apart pretty quickly. So that's the deal with missions versus orgs. And again, watch that video that I referenced to you at the beginning, because that really explains all of this stuff and the whole hierarchy of all this terminology. There's a lot of terminology in Scientology, and you just kind of have to learn it as you go. So I hope you'll check that out.